Hello everyone and welcome to another For Honor analysis video, and today I want to address a question that several have asked me. After the release of Marching Fire, For Honor set a very interesting precedent. New factions were a possibility. So the question now becomes, what new factions could be added to For Honor? Thus, a huge discussion began about what historical warriors would be the most interesting, fun, and unique to add to the roster. And I admit, I've thought about this a lot myself. So today I'm going to take some time to share the more popular suggested factions, and I'll discuss my thoughts on them, and then at the end I'll tell you my recommendation that I've heard no one mention before and I think could be very awesome. So let's get started. So the first one I hear a lot about is a possible African faction. African warriors like the Zulu or Zande would make for very interesting heroes, no doubt about it. Africa's cultural background on warfare is very rich and certainly worth exploring deeply. A couple have argued that they don't have the armor necessary or the weaponry necessary, but I mean, come on, we have Gladiator and Shaman. They're very under-armored, and don't even get me started on Raiders' lack of anything chest protective. So I don't think it's a question of armor. I think it's just a question of, could they be contendable? Could they have enough unique weapons and fighting styles to bring something new and fresh to you For Honor? And I think they would. However, I see a major problem that would be difficult to overcome. The politically correct response to it all. Now, I don't want to get political on this channel because that'll be its death sentence, but I feel it necessary to voice my primary concern with adding an African faction. Firstly, all heroes so far in For Honor can change skin color. I've seen more black-skinned Shaolin than I have white, actually. So will the new African warriors have that option too? Will we be able to make our African warriors light-skinned? I'm not going to lie, that'd be pretty freaky to see a white Zulu running around. And if they can't change their skin color, if they're stuck in that skin color, does that mean we'll no longer be able to change the other characters? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily care about this, it's not a big deal to me, but the community might, and their reaction would be tricky. I do think African warriors would be really cool to add to For Honor if we can negotiate those major issues. I personally don't care about them, and I think that if you brought in certain weapons and styles and bring in different African cultures and subgroups, I think that it would be a very unique, diverse, and fun addition to For Honor. But that is a major problem, the backlash that could come from it. I can't speak for the entire community, and if the community has proven anything, it's that it can take a relative non-issue and overblow it to the point that they claim the game is dead. Oh, we're only getting 2 heroes this year? Game's dead. Oh, they're only releasing emotes this week? Game's dead. Oh, no new Centurion rework yet? Game's dead. Oh, they released an African faction but don't let us change skin colors and their assassin is too OP while their heavy is weak as shit? Game's dead. And possibly racist. Y'all kind of see what I mean? Again, I think an African faction would be cool. I just don't think it'll happen until we can resolve that issue. The next one that I hear a lot about is a Native American or Mesoamerican faction. This one probably won't happen. While there are fascinating American warriors like the Aztec Jaguars and the Apache warriors or even the Comanche, I ask you what weapons they could bring that are unique. I mean, the Aztecs might bring some cool obsidian weapons like the Macuitl, but what about the Apache or the Comanche? What unique weapons could they bring? A hatchet and dagger? Shaman already beat you to it. A bow and arrow? That's more of a feat thing. I wouldn't use that in melee combat. Twin knives? That's more of a peacekeeper thing. A war club? Okay, sure, maybe, but now I think that we're really stretching and I think we're running out of weapon ideas. The creators have admitted that they look to the weapons first and build heroes around the weapons. If a faction can't produce enough unique weapons and fighting styles to draw from, it'll be hard to create heroes for that faction. I do think that American warriors can have potential, but I don't know if they have enough weapons to warrant at least 4 heroes. If you know of any, please feel free to share. I'm interested, but I go back to my original point. You need at least 4 heroes, a vanguard, an assassin, a hybrid, and a heavy. And if you can't give each one a weapon that's unique to them and a fighting style that's unique to them, it's very hard to add them. And I'm afraid that the Native Americans just don't bring anything new. The Mesoamericans might. There are some obsidian weapons that are unique to them, like I said, the Macuitl and a few others, but I'm just not sure they'd make a full cast. That's just me, though. If y'all have any other suggestions or ideas about that, feel free to share them. I'm very interested. And then I also hear folks talk about the Arabic faction. Arabic faction would be cool. You know what? I think they would be. The Arabian history of war is very large, and there are certainly enough weapons to draw from there. The scimitar being an excellent example. You've seen that in stuff like Aladdin and 1001 Nights, so definitely some ideas there. Maybe even a specialized long polearm? There are options. But much like the African faction, I fear there will be a backlash that'll come from that. You see, when Marching Fire was being hinted at, and they were hinting at a new hero, people saw the image of the Tao and thought it was a scimitar. This, coupled with the desert-like feel of the new Breach map, made people think an Arabic faction was coming. You want to know who got excited about that? The Knights. Yeah, the Deus Voltors came out of hiding in mass to prepare for a war on the Holy Land. If an Arabic faction was added, you know the Knights would gain a sudden surge just for the memes alone. And unfortunately, political correctness cares not for memes. In fact, they tend to attack memes. If people post videos or content of wardens and lawbringers cutting down Arabic heroes while screaming Deus Vult, and the caption or name of their video is called Fighting for the Holy Land, all that stuff, I fear the game will get backlash for Islamophobia, or something retarded along those lines. Look, I want it made clear that I don't think any of these problems are deal breakers. I'm fine with doing an Arabic or African faction, but I'm worried that the community will lash back against these decisions and hurt the game in the public eye. And quite often, the public eye is necessary consideration with games like these. You can't ignore it. Quite often, public appeal matters. And if the game gets a lot of crap, then the game does poorly. That's one of the reasons I constantly get worried about For Honor. Because when all these people keep screaming about how the game's dead, the game did this wrong, the game's not balancing correctly, it hurts the community because the community lashes out at it and potential new players don't want to play it. So if people start saying, oh, we've added an African faction, but they're not letting us change skin colors for other characters, or we've added an African faction, but you made the assassin of the black characters totally weak, or oh, you added an Islamic faction, but all the Arabs are just there to be killed by the Knights because of Islamophobia. Do you realize how many people are going to hear that and go, man, well, I don't want to play this now? That's the only problem I have. Otherwise, I totally want to see these. I think an African faction would be cool. I think an Arabic faction would be cool. But you know what, guys? Let me share with you my recommendation. I do have a recommendation, and you might even be able to add the Arabic faction in with this. I would recommend a Rajput faction. Few know about the Rajput, but you definitely should. From as early as the 6th century all the way through the 16th century, the Rajput kingdoms were a social class that formed into groups and warriors and martial bodies in northern India. Their name means son of kings, and this may or may not be a reference to their hereditary nature of acquiring power and prestige. They lived in the northern lands of India, close to the border of Pakistan and the Arabic Empire. And for centuries, the Rajput fought against constant Muslim expansion into India, though in time they would eventually begin to assimilate and form what would be called the Mughal Empire in the mid-16th century. The Mughal Empire in the 16th century. These guys were some of the most exotic and incredible warriors in history. Their weapon arsenal is beautiful and deadly, and their martial prowess are exceptional. And because of their close relation to the Arabic lands, you could incorporate Arabic soldiers into their faction as DLC characters. Like, for example, imagine a vanguard with a scimitar and a shield, right? A heavy with a Khanda sword, a huge, heavy broadsword. An assassin with the Qatar punching dagger. Yeah, those straight up daggers that you wear on your fists and you punch with them. That's awesome. A hybrid with an Ara coiled whip sword. And picture a sword, right? But it is as flexible as a whip. Awesome. Or maybe if you want to add a DLC character, add an Ottoman Janissary wielding a saber and doll shield. There's stuff you could do here. There's so many options that could be thrown here, and I'm barely breaking the surface. There are lots more weapons than that. They could have feats where they throw chakram flying discs. Awesome ideas. In my opinion, one of the best factions that could be added right now would be a Rajput faction or maybe an Ottoman faction. To further indicate the amazingness of these warriors, I'd like to quickly share a quote from British officer James Todd, who was so impressed with the warriorhood of the Rajput and their history that he said this, and I quote, "What nation on earth could have maintained the semblance of civilization, the spirit or the customs of character as the Rajput? Rajasthan exhibits the sole example in the history of mankind of a people withstanding every outrage barbarity could inflict or human nature sustain from a foe whose religion commands annihilation and bent to the earth, yet rising buoyant from the pressure and making calamity a whetstone to courage. Not an iota of their religion or customs have they lost." So, what do y'all think? Could the Rajput be a good or bad new faction to add to For Honor? Is there a chance that devs could work out the issues of adding an African or Arabic faction and make it enjoyable for everyone so that we don't see a backlash? Are there compromises we can add to make the Native American warriors better? Are there ways that we could add them and get unique weapons? Are there any factions I missed that y'all would like to recommend? Let me know in the comment section, and until next time, folks, I'll see y'all in the next For Honor analysis. Take care, guys.